Hey, all right. Finish this phrase for me if you know it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never. We all know that schoolyard mantra. We may have had that yelled at us, right? Or we may have yelled it at somebody else. But we also know that that phrase is false, right? I know sticks and stones can break my bones. I've been there. But I've also discovered that words can actually cut me deeper, right? We know on one level that that's just schoolyard foolishness. And we just say it to kind of protect ourselves, but really, if you're honest, words can actually be the more dangerous things, right? But sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we revert back into our second grade mentality of the world and we say, yeah, words can't hurt me, or we start thinking my words don't matter. What I say to people doesn't really influence them or affect them. I don't really need to be careful with what I say. Because, after all, sticks and stones can break our bones, but words won't hurt. We see this in our culture. We assume words are kind of flippant. What you say with your tongue doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? How many of you have seen the movie The Sandlot? Great movie. Classic movie. I love that movie. But in that movie, you probably know what scene I'm talking about. There's a lot of put-downs in that movie. The iconic scene, the Sandlot crew is playing baseball, and the rival baseball team rides up on their bicycles. Right? And they all line up on the baseball field like, what are you doing here? This is our field. And they start hurling insults at each other. Right? They say, like, you put toe jam on your hot dogs. And you bob for apples in the toilet. And then you get the iconic line, right, from the chubby catcher. He says, you play ball like a girl. They're not fighting with fists, but oh man, that line cuts the baseball captain to the heart. He says, what did you say? He's like, you heard me. And it leads to this epic battle, right? Words matter, though. But we see in movies and TVs that, you know what, it's almost like glorified to put other people down. To be talented at coming up with lines to cut people to the core with your words, right? And it's comical. You're like, oh man, you burned him. That was so good. When really we can slip into this mentality quite easily, where you have to protect yourself at school. And maybe you don't use your fists, you use your tongue. Or maybe we've grown up having to protect ourselves at home. And you have to be quick on your feet with the tongue and come back, or else you're going to get attacked. Or maybe in the workplace, or maybe hanging out with friends. Most of what you do with your friends is putting each other down, right? And there's a loving way to do that, right? But sometimes it slips into this unhealthy place. Because we forget that mantra, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is not true. But we like to think, I can sharpen my tongue as much as I want because it doesn't really hurt other people. And some of us have developed really sharp tongues. And we even secretly pride ourselves that, yeah, I'm quick on my feet with my tongue. I can go toe-to-toe with anyone when it comes to words. And out there in the world, that may fly, that may be okay. But the problem is, when we come here, we take that mentality with us into this place, into church. This should not be a place where my first reaction to criticism or to a disagreement is to cut you down with my words. But if I'm doing it in every other area of my life, it's a habit. that I just don't kick when I come in here. And all of a sudden the body of Christ is backbiting against each other, and we're cutting each other down, and that's not a pretty picture for a body. But when we come in here, this should be a place of safety. Right? This should be a place where if you have no other area in your life, this should be the one place where when you walk in, you don't have to be afraid of somebody making fun of you. You don't have to be worried about having a comeback on the tip of your tongue for somebody who might attack you. This place should be, if there is no other place in your life, this should be the one place where you can come, and instead of getting cut down, you are encouraged. You are loved. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Encourage one another and build each other up. You don't get a lot of that in other places. But build each other. This should be a place where I am trying to build you up with everything I say to you. Every word that comes out of my mouth is something that is edifying for you, that will build you up. Right? But sometimes we just get in the habit, and we come here and we cut each other down the same way that we do at school, the same way that we do at work, the same way that we do at home, the same way that we do with our friends. And all of a sudden, this place doesn't become a safe place anymore. This place is just another place to protect ourselves and to fight. Not with our fists, but with our tongues. We're going to be in Romans this morning. Turn to Romans chapter 12. Because we should be building each other up this morning, not tearing each other down. Giving honor where honor is due. Right?
Hey, Brendan. Sorry. I'm
Oh.
going to interrupt you for a minute.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sit down, buddy.
Was that encouraging? Was that a safe word? Thank you, brother. That was outstanding. And so, Brandon, did you hear what he said? This should be a place of safety. This should be a place of great encouragement. This should be a place of building up. So, Brendan, instead of talking about it today, let's do it today. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We worked that out, by the way, so just so you know. We want to do that very thing today. To give honor where honor is due. To give some words in a safe place to some people that may not get those honoring, safe words very much. So, here we go, a little housekeeping. Hey, all of you guys, come over here. Everybody up, come find a spot so you don't have to look at the back of these 4 chairs. And we need Monica Moreland, Becky Reed, Jesse Reed, and John Reed, all up here right now, with no questions asked. And just so you know, Jesse and Becky have been the big planners of this, helping us pull this together. While these good friends are coming up here, you need to know that 10 years ago, Monica Moreland came to be a part of this church. And 20 years ago, this summer, John, Becky, Zach, and Jesse came to be a part of this church. And so, we're going to do what Brendan said, and instead of talking about it, we're going to give some honor where honor is due. Lights. Camera. Action.
I feel so honored. Who's your life? Get to start over.
Today, we honor one of our ministers who has dedicated her entire life to serving God in the last 10 years to Hilltop in this community. Monica Moreland grew up in a family that loved God, worked in ministry, and raised their kids in the joy of serving the Lord. Monica is the second of 5 children born to John and Fern Moreland. This pioneering ministry family dedicated themselves to developing college students and campus ministries for over 50 years now in Oklahoma, Boise, Memphis, Eastern New Mexico, and now in retirement, back to Boise.
First time Kim and I met Monica was in Red Square, Moscow, Russia. The year was 1992, immediately after the communist government of the Soviet Union had fallen. She was leading a Let's Start Talking team of students into the former Soviet Union country of Ukraine. The second time I met Monica was 1 year later in the great city of Kiev, Ukraine. Monica saw the opportunity to change the world in a country that had not yet heard the gospel of Jesus proclaimed openly for 70 years. As an energetic leader, Monica left the comfort of the States to start a church in Kiev. Everybody imagine this. Monica moved to the town where the Ukrainian Soviet governments had moved many of the Chernobyl nuclear accident victims, where many would die. I think that decision alone shows Monica's deep passion for people and the kingdom of God. Again, imagine this. She served in Ukraine for 9 years, started 2 churches and a campus ministry student center. Her pioneering work remains to this day changing lives.
After 9 years as a church planter in Ukraine, Monica moved back to Memphis to do graduate work and work with Memphis Urban Ministries, a team that helped people in poverty in one of the most racially divided cities in America. At the same time, the Hilltop Church was looking for an administrator for the office. A member of Hilltop, Jeff Dimmick, called Scott to say, "Hey, my cousin, Monica Moreland, is looking for a ministry job." Scott replied, "Hey, I know, love, and admire Monica Moreland. Let me give her a call." And that was the beginning, my friends, of an amazing relationship between the tremendous servant of God and Hilltop. Okay. Monica started, I'll get it together. Monica started in the office at Hilltop 10 years ago, in the summer of 2006.
And it wasn't long before Monica found her way into the heart of Hilltop through ministry teams, our youth camps, and small groups. And it became apparent to all that she was more talented than a certain part-time minister at the time in charge of small groups that shall remain nameless here today. In 2008, Monica became Hilltop's small group minister and served this church in ways that could never be described in one setting. She captured the heart of Hilltop by serving it. Monica always looks for those in need. She answered the call to be a foster mom for one of our youth, Shannon, and would provide a home and love for Shannon's last year of high school, all the way through graduation of college. So yes, Monica serves out front, but what is so impressive is how she loves to serve us, the church, behind the scenes. Her influence is deep and vast, here and around the world.
And if you didn't already know, Monica's middle name is Party. If there is an opportunity for fun, Monica will be there. I understand a Moreland family saying is, fun times all the time. Joy is a word that describes her completely. And not only does Monica care for us physically through her amazing cooking and party skills, she cares for us soulfully through her many groups, Bible studies, and baptisms. Many of us here today claim Monica to be a great friend and leader. She believes that God can transform lives and uses her energies to help others. Thank you, Monica, for how you love us.
Monica's lifetime of influence reaches beyond Hilltop through her work with Let's Start Talking and missionaries and church leaders, and church planting in Europe, church planting in Memphis, the Kairos Church Planting Network, small group ministers, and much, much more. And of course, Monica's soul beats at the heart of Hilltop and life groups. If you've been a part of Hilltop in any way, you've been touched by Monica. Today we honor her for 10 years of service at Hilltop. You'll hear more from others in just a minute, but would you show honor, love, and appreciation to our minister and friend who loves us deeply, but more importantly, loves God, Monica Moreland. Let's give her a hand.
Now today, we also honor a family that has served this church, this town and community for 20 years. John Reed, a South Bay boy, raised in Palos Verdes, whose family were leaders at the Torrance Church of Christ, and has lived most of his life here in the South Bay. Becky Reed, a West Side girl, raised in Santa Monica and Malibu, the daughter of a ministry family dedicated to serving God, has lived almost all of her life here in Southern California. Both nurtured in loving families that served God and His church. John's mom and dad, Frank and Darlene Reed, are here today. Becky's mom, Beverly Reeves, is here today as well. Would you three please stand? Please stand. There they are. Thank you, and I know you are proud that your kids have carried on the legacy of serving God.
John went to Pepperdine University in 1982. I remember him well. Cool car, cool girlfriend, although it wasn't Becky, and cool mustache. I was new at Pepperdine too, and was impressed by this, well, cocky guy that was very competitive, compassionate, and funny. John met many of his friends that remain deeply embedded in his life to this day, many of them fellow ministers. Now, it was obvious that he was a gifted leader in the kingdom while in college. He met a non-Pepperdine student at Pepperdine, a young lady named Becky. Here's a picture of some early flirting. A wild night singing at Becky's church. Notice their hands almost touching. Ask John sometime about what went on in the practice room, because I'd like to know too. After much dating and deliberating, a beautiful union was formed in August of 1986, 30 years ago, this wonderful summer.
Now people, listen carefully. The first church they started attending after marriage, a little place called the El Segundo Church of Christ. Yes, this church in 1986. John and Becky were the volunteer youth ministers for 2 years. They loved El Segundo, the community, and the church. They formed relationships that would be important a little while later in life. Becky immediately began working at Pepperdine in the Graduate School of Psychology and is now in her 29th year.
John worked in the family manufacturing business right after marriage. Now, John made some pretty good money in those days for the business world. One day, John and his accountability group, some of his buddies from Pepperdine that were all in ministry, got together. And John shared with us that he was feeling the call to ministry, to leave his business job, to serve more directly God, to pursue a calling. And of course, we, his ministry friends, were all for it. Except for the part, now how much money do you make right now? Well, of course you need to follow God, but how much are you making again? I'll tell you that story because, well, you know, we know you need to follow God, but wait, how much money are you making again? Well, of course I say that because of such good godly friends, John, like we are. But more importantly, John and Becky knew that they had to follow God's calling first and foremost. That's been a life pattern for John and Becky. They and their little 1-year-old named Zachary moved to Fraser Park, California to work with a struggling church. And it grew as they reached people all over the region. They were there 5 years in Fraser Park when beautiful Jessie joined their family.
In 1996, the El Segundo Church of Christ asked John and Becky to move to El Segundo to help this struggling church. The church was down to 20 people and about to close. They had enough money for one more year, and if it didn't work, they talked about selling the building and having a big party. John and Becky moved back to their homeland for a dream of renewal. John and others went to work as God was bringing a fresh spirit to this church. They changed the name to Hilltop, launched a new vision, and served with diligence and passion. All kinds of people came to Hilltop: searchers, addicts, families, all types. God used the Reeds to do something special in this place. God used John to bring good news to El Segundo and all over Southern California.
Think of all that's happened during the past 20 years. Kids have been trained here. All the classes that have been taught and the conversations had while planting seeds for God's kingdom. All the people that came here young and now serve throughout the entire world. Think of the baptisms and changed lives, all the Bible studies John and others have had, all the counseling sessions, the weddings, the funerals, King's Camp, and the influence not just with Hilltop, but all kinds of churches throughout Southern California. And for the past few years, America, as John has touched so many other people. John has nobly and powerfully led 10 different shepherds over these 20 years. Think of all the cups of coffee and breakfast John's had while serving us in this church. Very importantly, John has immersed himself in God's Word to teach, lead, and encourage us each week to follow the Maker of the universe. He's fed the soul of Hilltop for years with his love of God and his love of the Scriptures.
John is not an issue-driven leader. Instead, he's driven by God's love for us. We see that same trait in Becky, Zach, and Jesse as well. Servants, leaders. John is a leader of leaders. Thousands of people have been touched by this church, led by John. His impact is worldwide.
So today, we want to say thank you, God, for sending this family to the Hilltop Church of Christ. Let's give the Reeds a big hand. So Brendan encouraged us to honor those who need honor and to give words of safety and love and comfort. So it's not going to be just us today, but we have others that want to give some words of blessing and encouragement. Listen up.
Hello, Monica. Congratulations on 10 years at El Segundo Church. We are proud of you, and we are looking forward to seeing you later this month. And God bless you.
Hi, Hilltop, and hello, Monica. It's the Greenblatt family vacation, mini vacation. I'm so sorry to miss such a wonderful morning and honoring you for 10 years. I can't believe 10 years of service at Hilltop, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So thank you for letting me send a video, and thank you for letting me share. I can't say enough about you, Monica. I know that we've recently just been talking about how the church body has so many parts, and I can truly say that I think you are the eyes, the ears, the hands, the feet, with a great big heart, and not to forget the brain, because I feel you are a woman of action, and you've always got a plan. And you're good at taking others along with you, and we really do appreciate that. You have, I'm sure, touched the lives of almost everyone who's walked through the doors of Hilltop, and myself included, and in such a profound way. I met you when I was, just coming back to church after years, and I had an almost 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and it's not easy to get a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old out to church on Sunday mornings, even though once you get there, the hour and 20 minutes by yourself, if they're in Bible class, is pretty much worth it. But you made me believe that I wasn't by myself, and I became good friends with you. We went out to coffee, and I knew right away that you and I could be good friends. I didn't realize how good a friend you and I could be. You've been so much more to me, Monica. I love you so much. You've been a friend, a mentor, a teacher, mom, and a downright pain in my behind when I didn't want to do something or didn't think I could do something that you had confidence in me that I actually could do. And there have been many times that you have kind of pushed me to do stuff, and that I've grown from that, helped me step out of fear to do something that I needed to do. And I really appreciate that. I have to tell you, my whole family adores you. My children love you. My husband adores you, even though you beat him in the chili cook-off, which he still thinks is rigged. And the Christian didn't win that one. But he really appreciates everything you've done for me and for our family, and I do too. And we all just adore you and love you. And I hope you never leave Hilltop. All right? Thanks, Monica. Bye-bye.
Well, Jesse, Zach, and I want to honor our spiritual leader, our dad, my husband, in our own way by doing something that he has done to us, for us, for years, by using an acronym in what we want to say so that we'll all remember his sermon. Just like 3, 4, 5. We pray for 3 people for 5 days, right? So our acronym is JON. So Jesse gets the first letter, and that's J. So take it away, Jess. So the first thing that I thought of when I heard J was joy, and it's a little obvious, but I think it's so fitting to describe you, because like whenever people ask me, Jess, why do you smile so much? Why are you so happy? I always say, if you knew my dad, you would understand, because he's just like so full of joy. And yeah, you have this ability to find the good in any situation, and just, yeah, this genuine and unwavering joy in everything you do. And it's something that I don't thank you for enough. Excuse me. Yeah, because your joy, it's just helped me to have joy in my life and just, yeah, be positive, so thank you.
So the next letter is O, and I want to talk about oneness. Scott, you mentioned the practice room at Peppermint. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happened there, but I can tell you what happened on our honeymoon night, our wedding night. You ready? Are you nervous? Are you nervous? The first thing we did after we got married and we got to the hotel was we prayed. And that's one thing that I just want to say has meant the world to me all these years. It was what my dad did when he and my mom first got married. They prayed before they started their life together. So I just appreciate that we can pray together. We try to pray every night or every morning before we go to work. And that has been really big to me and has helped us to be one, as we are one with God. And I appreciate John has really fostered that oneness in our marriage. And also, John has always listened to me, even with rambling on or being emotional on an emotional roller coaster. He has always listened, and I appreciate that. That's helped our oneness. And he has been loyal. He's loyal to his family. He's loyal to me. He practices what he preaches. He really is a loyal person. And I also appreciate, and what has helped the security of our marriage and our relationship is his accountability groups with Scott and Andy
And then also Alan Burke and Alan Ray, Marty. He's prayed with Marty, almost every Sunday before church. And those groups of men that he meets with hold him accountable. And he really is spiritually and physically pure. He is a faithful husband, and that just means more than I can even say. And he also fosters our oneness by inviting me on dates quite often, even when I'm really tired after a hard day of work. He'll get me out to a nice romantic sunset dinner somewhere, and I appreciate that. It's not easy, because a lot of times I just want to stay at home. So I appreciate your the oneness that you have championed in our marriage and in your life, spiritual and relationship-wise. So the next letter is N, Jon, and so Zach has N, and Zach from afar is going to share.
Hey, what's up, Hilltop? This is Zach. Sorry about the background noise. I'm in an airport. So I think it's really cool that we're celebrating this 20-year of Dad in the ministry. A lot of fun. Congrats, Dad. So, we're doing apparently an anagram with the letters Jon for John. And so mine is N. And, I was thinking about what I could do to tie that into Dad's ministry, and I thought of, the words nothing but the gospel, right? Because, all that we do as Christians should be nothing but pointing our families, pointing the people in our lives towards Jesus, right? Towards the gospel. And I think no one better exemplifies that than Dad. And I think it's just a real statement that he's been doing this for 20 years, right? And that just all the time that he spends meeting with people and talking with people about what they're going through, and all the time that he spent with me and Mom and Jesse, right? And all the effort that he put into raising me and Jesse and being a good husband for Mom. All of it exemplifies the love of Christ, right? And so I just think there's no better way to describe what it means for, Dad, and what it looks like being 20 years in the ministry, nothing but the gospel, his whole life, He always, every day, he's always like, honor God, son, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, honor God, nothing but the gospel, nothing but Christ. So, congrats, Dad. Love you.
Okay. So we want to continue honoring them and just show our appreciation for all that you've done and do with some gifts. So, church, I don't know that you realize what ministers do and what their week looks like, but it's usually filled with 60, 70-hour weeks. Is typical, if not more than that. You see a little bit of what they do, say here on Sunday, by all the planning that goes into services and things like that, what we do in our life groups and the support that we get through those. But there's countless other hours that you just really don't see. Any number of things, counseling, and that goes all times of the day. When there's a 3 a.m. crisis, who gets called? It's probably one of these two right here. So they really are just the backbone of this church, and we appreciate that so much. So we do have some gifts for you. I think there's names on these, so let me check. I'll check this one. So we wanted to honor you and give you some time, which is tough to do sometimes, but we wanted to give you time. So we'll frame up exactly what this is going to look like as as we work with you on it. But it's to give you some time off to really just take that needed time that you don't typically get and you don't do on your own. So we wanted to honor you with that. So again, thank you so much for all that you do here at Hilltop. And we just love you so much and appreciate that.
Brendan, come on back up here since you were so rudely dismissed earlier. You just both got to know how much fun we've had doing this, because we've lied to you now for days. You know, the church, that we sent an email out to the church yesterday that said, just show up at church. Don't say anything to anyone and don't talk to any ministers. Just show up at church because something special is going to happen. And for 10 years and 20 years, you have been great leaders of this church. So let's hope for a whole bunch more. And this church loves you and loves you deeply, because God told us to honor those who love us and serve us and take care of us. We wanted today to be a special day. And you get the last word, so get ready, both of you. Monica, then Joe.
Yeah, I feel honored and privileged to get to kind of peek behind the curtain with these two amazing ministers. And I know most of us, if not all of us, know that Hilltop is so healthy in a large part because of these two and their leadership and their hearts. And it has been such a blessing and an honor to get to work with the both of you for the last 4 years now. And I appreciate, John, your intentionality with our relationship. For the first year or 2 years, you would regularly take me out to breakfast and say, how's it going? What's going on? You know, let's talk through stuff. That was powerful. And it just speaks to your heart of having an eye for everyone around you, and to serve and love, and Monica as well. Like, sometimes you do half of my job for me, and I appreciate just how you have a hand in everything. It seems like, and you are just constantly serving and loving people, and you are all over the place, and it exhausts me just watching you love on so many people. And the both of you, it has been such a privilege to get to work with you, and you have taught me how to be a better minister, and I cannot thank you enough for that. And so I just wanted to be brief, but say that blessing on you, and I know you probably already know all that, but it's good for the rest of the people to hear it, because it is a blessing and an honor to get to work with these two here. I couldn't ask for a better team or staff to be a part of, and it has made my entry into ministry that much smoother, and you have taught me so much in the last 4 years. So I really love both of you, and I appreciate everything that you do for me and for everyone else here. And so a couple points before we turn the mic over to both of you. I know a lot of you probably want to say something. We couldn't open up the mic because it would go all week. So in the back, there is a table with pieces of paper on it. And we want to invite you to go back there after church and write notes of encouragement, of love, write a story of connection with one of these or both of them. But we wanted to give you that opportunity to, I know some of you are probably dying to say something. Write it, and they will get those cards in the back. And then after the service, John and Monica and Becky and Jesse will be in the back as kind of a reception line at a wedding. But they will be back there to kind of give everybody their 2 minutes or 2 seconds with them, okay? So go back in the back, and they will be back there to receive and love on them back there, okay, afterwards. So right now, we're going to give you guys an opportunity, just briefly, keep it short, but you can say a little bit back.
Thank you so much, and this truly was a surprise. I think the thing that comes to my mind when I think of Hilltop, and it's been such a joy, such a fun job. It's been really exciting to work here, but the thing that comes to my mind is team. I don't think any one of us can take credit for any one thing, because we all work together so well. We have amazing shepherds, and we say that all the time. We have the best shepherds probably in all the world here, because they're such a good leadership team, and they help us so much. And so team, oh my goodness, we feel so much supported. It makes it easier to be a minister when we know how we have people behind us like that. We have so many of you are life group leaders, which is just amazing, and I appreciate you guys so much. You are shepherding people in your life groups too, and where people feel welcome here because they're so welcome here on Sunday, but also in life groups. And if you're not in a life group, it's like you don't feel like you're a part of the family. So people very quickly get in life groups here, and that makes my job easy too. So I love all the leaders, our ministry team leaders, and then especially our ministry, our ministry staff. Wow, we have fun together. We love each other. Yeah, we work hard, but it's fun doing it together. And so I so appreciate Hilltop because we're such a good team and because we love each other so much. Thank you for having me. Yep.
So thank you all, first of all, for coming and being a part of this. And this was a surprise for me as well. I think I would like to begin with a lesson on honesty for our... We need some repenting up here this morning. Wow, 20 years. I'm just looking out, at the families, many of you that have been here, for all those years. Some of you who just have started coming to Hilltop, even in the last week or two, and it's just an example of how alive God is, and God is moving in so many powerful ways. It's just been a tremendous privilege for me and my family to be a part of this journey of what God is doing through the Hilltop in this place. And I'm very thankful for each and every one of you. Some of the kids, it was just thinking about, weren't even born, that like the Sipes family who I'm looking at here, and did your wedding how many years ago? 10? 11, yeah, she corrected you. Almost 11 years ago. And just so many of you have been such a blessing in our lives. And I really do want to say, I know this probably goes without saying, that it truly is about Jesus. And that's what this church has stood for. And Becky talks about the joy in our lives, and there's tremendous joy. We have hard times, we have difficult times too, but there's a tremendous amount of joy because of Jesus Christ, because of continually looking and trying and growing and trusting in Him. And the oneness that we have in our marriage, thank you, Becky, for sharing that. Again, we've got a long, obviously, growth that we all have to do. But I'm thankful that we're in that, and that Christ is the head of this. And I would just encourage us all, keep looking to Him. If you're new to Hilltop, then this is a very healthy church because of Christ and our focus on Him. And I would say it's just such a blessing to be a part of a healthy church, and that God is alive. Fred and Linda, I'm glad that you're here this morning. They have been with me the entire way. The Edwards have been with us. You've seen our families grow together. There's been very difficult times, very trying times that we've experienced and journeyed through together, and there's been just the opposite of just great celebration and joy. So I just would humbly say I'm so honored. I'm who I am because of Christ working through all of you. And I know I've got a long ways to go, but I wouldn't do it with anybody else. So thank you, Hilltop, so much, each and every one of you, for your love, your patience, your compassion that's unending. And I can't wait to see what God is going to do in the future here. I can't wait to see what God has in store, but I really trust and believe it is fantastic things, because He's a God who loves us. He's a mighty God, and He's here. He's with us. So thank you. I really could go on for a long time, but I better not. So thank you very much.
So again, afterwards, they will be in the back. Love on them. Write a note of encouragement or love or a funny story or whatever. But we're going to wrap this time up. So let's give them one more round of applause.
more song and we'll end with a prayer.